It starts with a moment so small you almost miss it. A pause, a hesitation, that quiet instinct that tells you something isn't right. It's late at night in a quiet American neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever makes the news. Lawns are trimmed, porch lights glow softly. The street stretches out under tired yellow lamps that buzz and flicker like they struggling to stay awake. There's no traffic, no voices, just the distant sound of a highway far away and the occasional bark of a dog. You're not scared, not yet. Maybe you couldn't sleep. Maybe you thought you heard something. You walk past a window without thinking, then you stop. Something outside feels wrong. At the far end of the street, standing just inside the circle of light from a street lamp, is a figure, tall, still, watching. At first your brain refuses to accept what you're seeing. It tries to fill in the gaps. A trick of light, a shadow, a person waiting for a ride. Then your eyes adjust. It's a clown, not a party clown, not bright or cheerful. This one looks worn. The costume hangs loosely, as if it doesn't belong to the body wearing it. The colors are faded, smeared with dirt, like they've been dragged through rain and dust. The white face paint is cracked around the eyes and mouth. The red nose isn't shiny. It's dull, lifeless, and the smile. The smile is painted on, frozen in place, stretched far wider than it should be. But the eyes behind it don't match. They're dark, empty, focused, locked on your house, locked on you. You wait for it to move, to wave, to laugh, to do something, anything that proves this is a joke, a prank, someone filming a stupid video for the internet. But it doesn't move. It doesn't react. It just stands there. Your heart starts pounding. You take a step back from the window, telling yourself you're being ridiculous. When you look again, the clown is still there, perfectly still, as if it hasn't blinked, watching. In 2016, thousands of people across the United States described moments exactly like this. Different cities, different states, different lives. Yet their stories matched in ways that were impossible to ignore. A clown appearing late at night, standing silently, watching homes, streets, playgrounds, and forests. This was the beginning of what would become known as the Killer Clown Sightings. First, no one took it seriously. The internet laughed. A few strange Facebook posts surfaced. A blurry photo shared on Twitter. Someone claimed they saw a clown near the woods behind their apartment complex. Comment sections filled with jokes. People compared it to old horror movies. Just people trying to go viral, they said. It'll be over in a week, but then the police calls started. South Carolina was one of the first places where fear truly took hold. Residents in small towns began calling 911 late at night, reporting clowns lurking near wooded areas behind apartment buildings. Parents claimed their children came home shaken, saying clowns tried to lure them into the woods with candy, money, even toys. Police searched the areas. They found nothing. No suspects, no costumes, no evidence. But the next night, the calls came again, and the night after that. Soon, neighboring states began reporting the same thing. North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio, Pennsylvania, California. The sightings spread across the country like a slow infection, each new report feeding the fear. A clown standing near a playground after dark. A clown at the edge of a cornfield, barely visible in the moonlight. A clown under a bridge, motionless as cars roared overhead. Sometimes they held balloons, red balloons that floated gently in the air, tugging softly at their strings. Sometimes they held weapons, knives catching the light, machetes resting against shoulders, baseball bats hanging loosely from gloved hands. And sometimes they held nothing at all, just empty hands. Social media turned fear into fuel. Videos spread faster than facts. Some clips were obvious pranks, teenagers laughing nervously as a friend in a clown mask ran away. But others were harder to explain. A clown standing in the middle of a road at 3 a.m., headlights shining directly on it, yet it doesn't move. A clown slowly turning its head toward the camera, movements stiff and deliberate, as if every motion is carefully controlled. People stopped laughing. Parents stopped letting their kids play outside. Joggers stopped running after sunset. Dog walkers shortened their routes. College students refused to walk alone at night. Entire communities quietly changed their routines because of something no one could explain. Police departments released statements urging calm, but behind the scenes, patrols increased. Officers scanned tree lines with flashlights. Squad cars cruised empty streets long after midnight. And yet, almost every time police arrived, the clowns were gone. Vanished, no sound of footsteps, no rustling in the bushes. Just empty space where something had been standing moments before. Then the reports began to change. The clowns weren't just standing anymore. Witnesses claimed they were being followed, threatened. One woman said she noticed a clown standing at the end of her street as she walked her dog. When she turned the corner, the clown was suddenly closer. When she started walking faster, it matched her pace. Never running, never rushing, just keeping up. A man in Ohio reported stepping out of his house with a flashlight after seeing a clown near his driveway. He shouted at it, demanded it leave. The clown didn't move. It slowly lifted its head and stared directly into the beam of light. The man later said the fear he felt wasn't panic, it wasn't shock. It was something deeper, a warning, a primal instinct telling him to get back inside immediately. He didn't hesitate. Across the country, fear turned into paranoia. Neighborhood watch groups formed almost overnight. People walked the streets armed with flashlights, bats, and guns. Some communities warned residents to call police immediately if they saw anyone in a clown costume. And sometimes people didn't wait for police at all. Several individuals dressed as clowns were attacked by terrified residents, beaten, chased, threatened. In one case, a man wearing a clown mask was shot at after stepping onto someone's property. He survived. Others were hospitalized. The line between prank and real danger disappeared completely. Psychologists appeared on news programs trying to make sense of it all. They talked about mass hysteria, about how fear spreads when uncertainty meets imagination, about why clowns are so deeply unsettling to the human brain. A painted smile hides true emotion. Exaggerated features make it impossible to read intent. A familiar symbol of joy twisted into something unpredictable. But explanations didn't stop the fear. What truly unsettled people was how similar the encounters were. Witnesses who had never met described the same details, the same stillness, the same silence, the same overwhelming feeling of being watched rather than threatened, as if the clowns weren't there to attack, as if they were there to observe. Patterns began to emerge. Sightings often happened near wooded areas, abandoned buildings, or places where people were isolated, late at night, early morning hours, rarely in crowds, almost never during the day, and the clowns almost never spoke. When they did, it was minimal, a whisper carried on the wind, a soft, deliberate laugh, sometimes just a single word. Hey, college campuses became hot spots. Students walking back from night classes reported clowns standing between buildings or near dorm entrances. Some said the clowns followed them, always staying the same distance away, no matter how fast they walked, no matter how many times they looked back. Schools across the country went into lockdown after receiving threats mentioning clowns. Most were hoaxes, but each one caused chaos. Children hid in classrooms. Armed officers searched hallways. Parents waited anxiously for messages confirming their kids were safe. Halloween season arrived and fear reached its peak. Costume stores pulled clown outfits from shelves. Haunted houses banned clown performers. Entire school districts outlawed clown masks. A symbol that once meant laughter had become a warning sign. Then, slowly, the sightings began to fade. By the end of 2016, reports dropped off. Social media moved on to new fears. News outlets stopped covering the story. Officially, the Killer Clown Sightings ended without a single confirmed explanation. No arrests tied to a nationwide effort. No mastermind. No final answers. Most people accepted the simplest explanation. Pranksters, copycats, internet attention. But not everyone believed that. Some witnesses insisted what they saw didn't behave like a normal person, that the clowns stood too still for too long, that they appeared and disappeared without sound. One woman claimed a clown stood outside her home for nearly 4 hours, never shifting its weight, never sitting down, never moving. When she finally called police, she looked away for just a second, and it was gone. No footprints, no noise, nothing. Even years later, reports still surface. Not as loudly, not as often, but enough to make people uneasy. A clown-shaped figure near a tree line. A pale face reflected briefly in a car window. A shape standing just beyond the reach of a porch light. Most people don't post about it anymore. They just lock their doors, close their curtains, and try not to think about it, because the most terrifying part of the Killer Clown Sightings was never the violence. It wasn't the weapons. It wasn't the threats. It was the silence. The idea that fear doesn't need to chase you, doesn't need to scream, that something can stand there for hours, watching, without doing anything at all. Clowns were meant to make us laugh, to turn fear into fun, to be harmless. In 2016, that illusion was shattered. What replaced it was a reminder that fear doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it stands right under the streetlight, perfectly still, waiting for you to notice. So tonight, when you're awake later than you planned to be, and you feel that strange urge to check outside one more time, remember this story. Remember how many people swore they weren't imagining it. Remember how no one ever discovered why the clowns appeared or what they wanted. And if you ever see a clown where it doesn't belong, standing silently, watching from the shadows, don't assume it's a joke, because some mysteries don't end, they just wait. If this story kept you hooked till the very end, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who loves real-life horror, and subscribe for more true stories that prove the scariest things aren't always hiding in the dark. Sometimes they're already watching you